What's up, folks? Stuck in the shed today. It's raining. Earlier I took my ground stake rods that I pound my ground stakes in the ground with for my traps. Took them and had some washers welded on so I can get my ground rod out of the ground easier. But I just had them tack it there so it's flat and then weld it on top. And I have a ground stake puller that I use for my rebar stakes for my DPs for raccoon. And that head is kind of small for my puller and it falls out and I can't hardly pull it out because this thing gets pounded in the ground pretty far and it's hard to get them out. So, and I also paint them a bright color so I don't lose them. They kind of blend in being all rusted up, so I paint them a bright color. Last year they were white. This year I'm going to do them my green, kind of letting them dry. I had them painted outside and then it started raining. Had to bring them in and wipe them off. Kind of messed them up. But that's what I'm doing today. Getting them painted up. Went last night. They only had a couple more cans of orange to add with what I got. And they had 5 green. And I had a partial green left from last year. So my newer traps last year that I bought, I painted them gray. I only used 4 of them, so I'm just going to repaint them gray to match the rest of them so I can keep them separate. Even though because they're a lot stouter than my older traps, but I'm going to repaint them gray to match the other 8. And I'm going to do probably half of them green and half of them orange this year. So, got my DPs done. They're all painted and hanging in the shed. I'd go show them to you, but it's raining. So, getting the shed cleaned up today. Got the workbench cleaned off. Had a big mess. I need to get the floor swept. Get the floor swept in the other shed. I've got to start filling up my containers of peat moss. This is what I keep my peat moss in, and I use it on the line. My mom's cat eats this stuff. They don't sell them anymore, so I've got a bunch of them built up, and that's what I fill my peat moss up when I get it all out of the bag and tore apart. Get it all dried out, and then I stick them in these, and works out pretty good. And then when I'm out on a line, I just shake it out. Comes out real easy. Put the lid back on. Fits down in my buckets. I can put two of those down in my buckets that fit down in there. I usually carry about, 4 or 5 of them. And then I got some dirt ones filled up. Just depending on the weather, whether I even use dirt. Because that whole thing right there, trash can there, is filled up with sifted dirt. So, just getting my traps ready. My footholds, they came out pretty good on stripping off the paint. There's a few that were harder to do, and they were the brown and the black were harder to get off. The green and the orange I had on there last year came right off, and the gray. But that brown and black, there's some a little still on there, but if it's stuck there, then it's going to be stuck there. But I got them in vinegar and water. They've been there for 3 days. I got 2 sets in the first day, and then 2 days later, I put another set in. I found another storage container where I could do some more traps. So they're all soaking, getting all the rust off of them. I'm gonna leave them tonight, and then tomorrow I'll check them out, see how they're doing, and go from there. But just want to bring that to you guys. If you guys got the ground stake pullers, weld some washers on there. But I have a ground stake puller I came up with and I made, but I'm not going to show that because I wanted to get it patented, but it costs so much money. I don't know that I want to, so I don't have the money for one. But there's very few people that even know what it even looks like, so. But it works out good, makes things faster for me. So I'm gonna get off here and see if maybe I can get inside. I think the rain's slowing down, so. But I just wanted to bring you those ground stakes. And these, see these, I just used the cheap ones, the cable ones. That's one from last year. And when you stick them down in that hole right there, stick them like that down in that hole. I always grind mine. They come with almost like a flat tip, where barely any of your tip goes in that hole. If you pull up on that rod at all while you're pounding that ground stake in there at all, you're going to lose that cable down in there. I always grind it to a point to where I make it come out a little further so that it stays down in there better. Just like that. So when you get those, grind them down to where they're more pointed. I always keep two in case I hit a rock. Because you hit a rock and you're not going to get them to go down in that hole. So remember, try to carry an extra one in your bag or your box or whatever, so that you'll have a backup. I'm probably going to buy me a couple more of them, because these are pretty old and you got to bend them back, and they bend, but they've been pretty durable for me, and it's going to work out pretty good with those washers welded on there, so I can get them out of the ground easier. But I have another video showing how I put 2 pieces of rebar, squeeze it together, and then pull up on it. It works pretty good too. And the washer would help out on it too. But grind those down where they go through that hole a lot better. Because if you lose your cable, sometimes you ain't going to get it out of the ground. And then you wasted a cable. So, alright folks, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Leave me a comment. Later.